Welcome to the PMP Certification Training Program. In today's session, we are going to discuss several important agenda items. I welcome you all to this session. Specifically, we will spend time understanding what PMP is, what this certification entails, and why you should consider pursuing it. If we look at the topics we will cover today, the first one is understanding PMP certification, what it is and why we need it. I'm sure many of you have these questions in mind, and we will aim to answer them in this session. We will also discuss the advantages of obtaining PMP certification and how it compares to those who have not completed it. Additionally, we will introduce the project management framework and its significance. Since you have decided to pursue PMP certification, it's essential to understand the examination process. We will discuss what the exam entails, its format, and key aspects of the PMP examination. Let's begin. First, let's talk about PMP certification. PMP, or Project Management Professional Certification, is introduced by PMI, the Project Management Institute. PMI is a globally recognized and long-established institution. We will discuss PMI in more detail later in the session. To prepare for the PMP certification, you must refer to one primary resource, the Project Management Body of Knowledge, commonly known as PMBOK. The current edition used for the exam is the 7th edition, which was introduced in year 2021. The new examination format is based on this edition with the 8th edition in development, expected in 2025. PMBOK serves as a comprehensive guide containing essential knowledge in project management. It includes various processes, best practices, terminologies, and guidelines crucial for managing projects effectively. There are 49 processes outlined in PMBOK, along with recommended tools, techniques, and standardized terminologies that professionals must understand. If you ever come across an unfamiliar term in project management or need guidelines for handling project-related tasks, PMBOK is the reference guide you should turn to. Many organizations, when setting up project management processes, rely on PMBOK as a foundational resource. It is widely recognized and provides standardized best practices applicable across different industries and domains. Project management is integral to nearly every organization. Since businesses undertake multiple projects and programs, they need a structured framework. This is where PMBOK helps in creating customized project management processes tailored to organizational needs. However, most of these processes are derived from PMBOK standards. Because PMP certification is based on these globally recognized best practices, I strongly recommend that you read the PMBOK guide at least twice, if possible. If not, make sure to go through it thoroughly at least once. Doing so will help you grasp the fundamental principles of project management. Now, let's briefly discuss PMI. The Project Management Institute, PMI, is a non-profit professional membership association dedicated to project management professionals worldwide. PMI operates across different countries and continents, making it a globally recognized and highly active organization. PMI is involved in various initiatives, from organizing competitions and programs related to project management to hosting seminars, conferences, and research projects. It continuously contributes to the advancement of project management practices, ensuring that professionals stay updated with the latest trends and methodologies. With that, let's move forward and explore these topics in greater detail. PMI is an institute that continuously upgrades knowledge and best practices in project management. At the same time, PMI conducts extensive research and surveys related to career paths in project management. For example, if you are in project management and want to develop your career, PMI provides guidance on how to proceed. It also sets standards for project management, ensuring best practices are maintained. The Project Management Institute, PMI, is responsible for all these efforts, and the PMBOK guide is published by PMI. This guide is essential for those preparing for the PMP certification. Now, you might have some questions. For instance, Sam asked, what else can I do as part of certification in the project management field? Let me answer that. As you can see, PMP is one of the most recognized certifications. However, if you are keen on advancing in project management, you can also consider other options. For beginners in project management, the CAP, Certified Associate in Project Management, is a great starting point. Once you gain experience and knowledge, you can aim for the PMP, Project Management Professional, certification. As you start managing multiple projects, you gain experience in program management. At this stage, you can consider the Program Management Professional, PGMP, certification, which adds significant value to your credentials. When you gain experience in managing multiple programs, the next level is Portfolio Management Professional, PFMP, certification. This helps you specialize in portfolio management. Nowadays, agile methodologies are widely used in project management. PMI also offers the PMI ACP, Agile Certified Practitioner, certification. Many professionals are pursuing this certification to enhance their agile project management skills. However, this certification is not for beginners. It is meant for professionals with experience in both project management and agile methodologies. For those interested in specialized areas like scheduling or risk management, PMI offers additional certifications. PMI Scheduling Professional, PMI SP. PMI Risk Management Professional, PMI RMP. These certifications are valuable for project managers who want to deepen their expertise in these critical areas. There are many options available, and it's great that you have started your journey with PMP. Once you complete your PMP certification, you may consider pursuing other certifications to further enhance your credentials and career prospects. Now, let's focus more on PMP certification because this training is specifically designed for PMP certification preparation. PMP stands for Project Management Professional. It is a globally recognized certification in project management. To qualify for the PMP exam, you must have relevant education and professional experience. Once you meet these requirements, you can apply for the PMP certification exam and take the next step in your project management career. One of the key reasons why PMP is globally recognized across industries and domains is its value in project management. Now, why should you consider getting PMP certified? Let's discuss a few important reasons. The first and most crucial reason is its significance in employment. PMP certification is highly prestigious and can make a big difference in your career. Whether you are working in a company or looking for a new opportunity, having a PMP certification allows you to negotiate better salary hikes. I have seen many professionals leverage this certification to advance their careers. With PMP certification, you can explore jobs that require strong project management skills and knowledge. It can help you move to the next level in your career. That's why it is considered a prestigious credential in the job market. Apart from employment, PMP is regarded as the gold standard for project management certification. This is one of the most respected and globally recognized certifications in the field. Many job descriptions specifically mention PMP certification as a requirement, especially for project management roles. Another significant advantage is flexibility. PMP certification gives you the freedom to work in any industry across the globe. If you are in the field of project management, regardless of your domain or technology background, this certification opens doors to opportunities in various industries and sectors. Project management skills are universal, meaning they apply across different domains and technologies. If you have additional domain knowledge, it gives you an added advantage, but even without it, PMP certification will enable you to work across industries and countries. Now, let's discuss some specific advantages of PMP certification. First, salary hike and career growth. One of the biggest benefits of earning a PMP certification is the potential salary increase. Many companies not only recognize the value of PMP but also reimburse certification costs. Some professionals successfully negotiate salary hikes after earning their PMP. Second, improved performance and skill development. PMP certification enhances your project management skills, improving your overall performance. Even if you are not a project manager but working in project-related roles, this certification provides a broader and deeper understanding of project management concepts. Applying the tools and techniques learned in PMP training can significantly enhance your efficiency. For instance, different estimation techniques such as parametric estimation and bottom-up estimation can be directly applied to your projects. I highly recommend that while preparing for PMP, you also start implementing these techniques in your current projects. This hands-on approach will not only help you understand the concepts better but also set you apart from your peers and colleagues. Third, competitive edge and market expansion. Earning a PMP certification gives you a competitive edge over other professionals. It makes you stand out in the job market, helping you advance in your career more quickly. Additionally, PMP is a globally recognized certification, which means you are not restricted by industry, domain, or even geographical location. With this certification, you can explore job opportunities worldwide. These are some of the benefits that I have personally observed, and I am sure you can look forward to experiencing them as well. If you are considering PMP certification, these advantages make it a valuable investment in your career. Even if you want to work in a specific field, you should always aim to gain experience and pursue opportunities in that area. You can certainly try and explore job options in your chosen field. Applying and gaining experience in that industry increases your chances of successfully passing the interview process. For example, when you apply for jobs in your desired field, the recognition of your skills is acknowledged globally. As I mentioned earlier, there are no location constraints. No matter where you are working, having a PMP certification will always give you an advantage. It enhances your chances of securing better job opportunities, not just within your current organization but also externally. You can apply for internal job openings, which are usually posted as part of an organization's HR policies. These internal job listings are typically announced within the company first. When you complete your PMP certification, it provides an additional benefit, increasing your chances of applying for various job opportunities. There is a high likelihood that you will secure some of these opportunities, helping you climb the career ladder or advance within your current role. A PMP certification gives you a competitive edge over professionals who are not certified. As I mentioned earlier, when two candidates interview for a project management role, the one with PMP certification has a higher chance of being selected over someone without it. You may have noticed this yourself. When looking at job postings, many specifically state that they are looking for a project manager with PMP certification. This highlights the many advantages of earning a PMP certification. Moving on to the project management framework, let's now talk a bit about project management. Of course, in the training, we will discuss project management in greater detail. Regarding the framework, we will cover various aspects. However, since this session is more of a high-level introductory session, I will just touch upon the project management framework. If you look at project management, you'll see that, as far as PMI is concerned, they have defined various process groups in the PMBOK guide. There are 5 process groups outlined in the framework. First, we have the initiating process, followed by the planning process, then the executing process, the closing process, and a continuous monitoring and controlling process that occurs throughout. So, whenever we work on any project, take the example of any project, typically, what happens? If you are in, let's say, software projects and you want to provide customers with a digital experience, you decide to digitize all the possible opportunities available within your area. Essentially, what you do is decide to create multiple phases to complete this project. So you start right from the feasibility study to determine whether it is possible to do it, first of all. The moment you get confirmation on that, you then move on to creating a business case, a benefits management plan, etc., and all that. Once these are in place and approved, you begin working on the project phases. You come up with various project phases, starting from initiating the project to gathering requirements, conducting analysis, designing, building, testing, and finally deploying it. So, there are various phases. Now, As per the project management framework, these process groups apply to every phase. For instance, when you enter a phase, let's say the analysis phase, you begin with a list of requirements you've gathered for digitizing various aspects within your area. Once you're in the analysis phase, the first step is to initiate it. This means figuring out what needs to be done as part of the analysis and determining your overall approach. Essentially, you're getting yourself prepared. Next, you start planning. For example, you identify what tasks need to be accomplished during the analysis phase, like creating the high-level design and low-level design, which could be some of your key deliverables. After planning, you execute the plan. Once the execution is complete, you then close the process. But it doesn't stop there. Throughout the analysis phase, you also ensure that the activities you're performing align with the plan you've created. This is where continuous monitoring and controlling come into play, making it an integral part of the analysis phase. Similarly, this process is repeated in each phase. For example, when you move to the design phase, where you create the high-level and low-level designs after completing the analysis, you follow the same process. Sometimes, people even combine the analysis and design phases, working on them together. Regardless, the steps remain the same: initiating the phase, getting yourself ready, and creating a plan. First, you execute the plan. You monitor and control its progress. Once the phase is completed, you close it. When exiting any phase, there is always some output associated with it. For example, the output of a phase might include high-level and low-level design documents. This is just a quick illustration. As we progress through this training, you'll see that we've used project examples and showcased various artifacts. These include design documents, project charter documents, or business case documents from previous projects. Such examples will provide you with insights into how these artifacts appear in real projects. Now let's focus on the project management framework. From the PMBOK perspective, there are process groups. There are 5 process groups, and within them, we have 49 processes. These processes align with the 10 knowledge areas. This is explained in the upcoming slide. The slide highlights the knowledge areas detailed in the PMBOK guide. The knowledge areas include stakeholder management, project integration management, scope management, time or schedule management, cost management, quality management, human resource management, communication management, procurement management, and risk management. Altogether, there are 10 knowledge areas, and each area contains multiple processes. For instance, let's consider project integration management. When working on a project, you perform a variety of activities. One of the key processes is integration. Integration involves combining all activities to reflect the project's overall progress as a single entity rather than isolated tasks. To achieve this, the first step in project integration management is creating a project charter. When a project begins, the project sponsor hands over the charter to the project manager. This authorizes the project manager to initiate the project and provides them with the authority to utilize resources. The next step is to develop a project management plan. After the charter is ready, work begins on creating a detailed plan. This plan outlines how various elements like quality, scope, and schedule will be managed. These subsidiary plans come together to form the overarching project management plan. Following this, the focus shifts to directing and managing project work. At this stage, work on the project actively begins, and managing different activities becomes critical. During this process, it's essential to continuously monitor and control the work. You must regularly check whether the progress aligns with the plan. If deviations occur, corrective or preventive actions are taken. The specific actions required will also be covered in this training. Additionally, integrated change control is performed. Managing a project is rarely a smooth process, and challenges often arise. You may have experienced yourself many times change comes even towards late in the project, and we need to respond to that change. Otherwise, there could be customer dissatisfaction. So this is a bit sensitive. So how to go about training and managing that change effectively? We need to set up a change control board. So how does that work? Etc. is going to be covered as a part of this. Once we do that, then we'll have to perform the project closure activities or the phase closure activities. So this is how the various processes will fall into this knowledge area, which is integration management. Similarly, all these 49 processes will be covered as a part of this training, and under each and every process, we are actually going to talk about what are the inputs, what are the tools and techniques that I'm supposed to be using, and what outputs I should expect by the end of that process. This training covers in a very comprehensive fashion all these processes, and we'll be doing a deep dive into inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs as well. Most importantly, at the end of each of these modules, which are basically arranged by knowledge areas, we will also be taking lots of quizzes and questions. Those questions will give you an idea about what kind of questions are asked in the PMP examination. Let's talk about the PMP exam. A PMP examination, as I mentioned, has certain things to be considered. First is education. Another thing is experience. If you are a high school diploma holder or maybe have an associate degree, which is a global equivalent, then the expectation is that you need to have experience of 7,500 hours in project management, which is, of course, around 60 months. Now, that could be from any of the project management domains and not necessarily from the role of project manager as a whole. You could be playing any role. If you are a bachelor's degree holder or have any global equivalent with 36 months of total education, then you are expected to have the experience of 4,500 hours in project management. That's the experience required if you are a bachelor's degree holder. In both cases, what is expected is 35 contact hours, and you don't have to worry about that because all of you are attending this training, and by the end of this training program, you will be given 35 contact hours. That certificate is given to you, and the benefit of that is even if your application is identified as part of the PMI audit process, you will be able to provide them with the evidence of attending the training and gaining these 35 contact hours. So that certificate makes it very easy for you to produce evidence as well. A few things to remember while filling out the application form: when you put down your experience, ensure that the experience is non-overlapping. If it is for 4,500 hours of experience that you are putting in the application, that experience in the project should be during the last 8 years and it should be non-overlapping. That's very, very important. Approximately 20% of the applications are picked randomly for an audit check. Even if your application is identified under this random audit, you don't have to worry because you will get all the support to complete the audit process with PMI. Whatever evidence they might ask, especially from the training point of view, you will also be given support. For example, the certificate is one of the pieces of evidence you can produce to satisfy the requirement that you have gained 35 contact hours. Another important question that comes to many people's minds is about the experience of 4,500 hours. Should it be as a project manager or from any project management work? The answer is that experience can be from any of the project management domains or areas that you have worked in. For example, in a software project, you may be a tester doing only testing, but you are part of the project, so even that experience is valid. Or you may be just a developer and not really a project manager, but that experience as a developer is still considered because you are part of the project. So it's fine even if you don't have experience with the title of project manager. Since you participated in project management by performing various activities and were responsible for the project's deliverables, that experience is also considered. Now, the exam fees are different for PMI members and non-members. I would personally recommend you to go for membership. Because membership would have its own advantages now again, in the exam also, there are two options. One is computer-based test and the other is paper-based. Again, I would advise you to go for the computer-based option because then you can see the result immediately after the exam is done. So when you go for a computer-based test, the member fee is $405 for non-members. If you go for paper-based testing, the fee is $250 for members and $400 for non-members. If you go for a re-examination, unfortunately, if it happens, for a computer-based test you have to pay $275 as a member and $375 for non-members. For a paper-based test, the re-examination fee is $150 for members and $300 for non-members. The advantage with membership is that the membership fee is just $139. Additionally, there are a few countries that receive additional discounts. If you combine the PMI membership fee and the member fee for the certification, the total cost is more or less the same, but the advantage here is that you also get PMI membership. This means you can access professional resources, stay updated with developments in project management, and get access to what PMI keeps doing. You will also receive the PMIOC soft copy free of cost, which is another benefit. Thus, the advice would be to go for the PMI membership. Regarding the number of attempts, there are only 3 attempts allowed within a year. Even if you have to retake the exam, the maximum you can take is 3 attempts within 3 years.